Hi, this is Tara coming to you from Harmony Mind Body Fitness. I've put together a few 15 to 20 minute videos to help get you through the holidays fitness-wise when you can't get here. I had sent out an email to clients and friends asking for requests, either for video ideas or props that you maybe have in your home or that you take with you on the road. And one of the requests that I got was for this guy, just a small physio ball. If you don't have one, you can absolutely do this workout without it. You can also go to any Target, Walgreens, Toys R Us, and in the kids section there's always a big wire basket with balls of these size. They work just fine. You can use that as well. So let's get started. You're going to have the ball between your knees, feet sit bone distance apart and parallel, laying all the way down on your back. If you don't have a ball, still laying down, feet sit bone distance apart, laying on your back. We're going to start with a hip roll. So taking an inhale, exhale, you're going to scoop your pelvis back, tilting it towards you into an imprint. Keep scooping out those abs so much so that your glutes turn on, your hips lift, rolling you up towards your shoulder girdle into a bridge. Take a moment when you get to the top. Big toe, pinky toe, heel, all equally planted. As much as those glutes and hamstrings are pushing up, not at the expense of your ribs and abdominals, staying connected. And then when you're ready, peeling it back down through your upper back, through your mid back, breathing, scooping in those abs, fighting to move a vertebrae at a time through the spine, going back into your neutral, feeling that tailbone drop heavy onto your mat, and then going again, scooping the pelvis back towards you. Belly button goes down, ribs go down, glutes squeezing, not just up, but in towards each other, rolling it up towards that shoulder girdle. Again, glutes and hamstrings pushing up, but those ribs and abs still pulling in and down, and then rolling it down. Breathing as you move through the spine. Tailbone drops forward. We've just got two more. Scooping in those abs. Scooping them out so much that you lift. Glutes squeezing, inner thighs working. Think right now you're squeezing that ball enough just to hold it. Nothing crazy, not squeezing so much that your knees turn in. Those of you without the ball, you don't need it to find those inner thighs. Imaginary ball between the tip tops of your inner thighs. Give it a little squeeze. You'll feel those muscles connect. And then rolling it down, vertebrae at a time, scooping out those abs, belly button and ribs pulling in. Tailbone drops down, like where your feet and shoulders are. We're coming up to stay. Pelvis tilts back again. Ribs going down as those hips go up, almost a little teeter-totter effect. Glutes are squeezing. Front of those hips and thigh bones opening, keeping those ribs and abs turned on. You're just going to lower the hips an inch. Squeeze that crease in the bum to lift an inch. Again, lower an inch and lift an inch. Two more. Make sure you're lifting from your glutes and hamstrings. You're not just popping your hips and chest open. One more time. When you lift up, pause. You're going to keep all of this perfectly stable and just give that ball a good squeeze and release. If you don't have a ball, open the knees an inch and then squeeze them in just that inch. And release. Your knee-foot alignment never changes. It's just that little squeeze. One more time. Tops of those inner thighs, squeeze. And then from there, we go and lower and lift again. Down an inch. Crease in the bum pushes you up an inch. One more time, lower an inch. Lift an inch to pause. And then give that ball a squeeze. And release. One more time. Inner thigh squeeze. And now we do one of each. You lower, lift, squeeze, release. Lower. Lift those ribs and abdominals, tighten with your inner thighs. Two more, like this. Inner thighs, last one. Lower, lift, open, squeeze. Let's double time it. You go down, up, little squeeze. Glutes and little squeeze. Ribs and abs still working. Shoulders staying away from those ears. Two more, like this. Last one. Pause at the top. Roll it down. Breathe, vertebrae at a time. Don't plop down on me. Keep scooping in those ribs and abdominals. And then letting your tailbone release. You're going to take the ball, if you have it, into your hands, arms reaching up to the ceiling over your chest. Soft elbows, shoulders away from the ears. Just one more hip roll as a transition. You're going to scoop out those abs again. Tilting in that pelvis as your hips lift. Rolling it up to the top. If you have the ball, you're going to take it underneath your low back, sort of right around where that waistband of the pants would be. And then rolling back down onto it. If you don't have the ball, just roll right back down out of that hip roll and down to the mat. Once you're there, if you have the ball, tailbones in neutral. So much so it might even feel a little overextended, letting your ribs open a little bit. Take an inhale. Exhale, find those ribs, lace them together, slide them down, scooping those abs back towards you. If you don't have that ball underneath you, you're just finding a nice easy imprint to the pelvis. And then lengthening back forward and down into neutral. As much as that tailbone drops and those sit bones reach forward, ribs and abdominals, keep an awareness. And we go 2 more times. Ribs and abdominals pulling in, pelvis tilting back. No glutes allowed now. Glutes and hamstrings did their work a moment ago. Give them a break. Make your ribs and obliques do this. And then resisting it, back forward and into your neutral. 1 more time, we're going back to stay. Ribs and abdominals pulling in, tilting that pelvis back towards you. Pause here. Really feel that scoop in the abs, not just your back pressing down. When you're ready, one leg comes up to tabletop. If you have the ball and you're already thinking, there's no way I'm going to get my second leg to tabletop, maintaining that imprint and that scoop in the abs, consider shimmying back just a little bit so that ball rests a little bit lower, closer to your tailbone, but just still making sure you feel some of it right around that waistband. Abs keep scooping. When you're ready, second leg comes up. Feet and knees together or sit bone distance apart is up to you, but just fight to maintain parallel in that 90-degree angle. Legs won't move, scoop out those abs just a little bit more. No butt jumps. I don't want you to prop it up. I want you to keep your pelvis stable and just scoop and tilt it back towards you. Right leg only is going to toe dip down with a bent knee towards the floor, and then you're going to scoop it back up. Going to the left. Notice I said towards the floor, but not to the floor. You might not get there. Keeping a stable pelvis. I care more about you keeping a stable pelvis than I do about that toe getting anywhere near the floor beneath you. Breathing, ribs and abs are pulling in, and then you don't just lift the leg, you scoop it back up. We're going to do 4 more alternating. Air goes out, abs pull in. And 3. Are your shoulders still dropping away from those ears? 2 more times. Could you just flatten those abs a little bit more than you thought you could? 1 last time. Scooping it up to stay. You're going to reach both legs straight up to the ceiling. Maybe you feel a little hamstring stretch here. Some of you might not. Take an inhale, flex those feet back towards you, and point them up to the ceiling. Just 1 more time. Flex and point. Legs are now settled, scooping in those abs, resetting that abdominal connection a little bit more. Right leg only, nice and slow, reaching down and away. Again, wherever you can hold that abdominal connection, don't just lift the leg, scoop the leg back up to the ceiling. Going to the left, reaching it down, reaching it forward and away from you a little bit to create some length, and then your abs scoop that leg back up. Don't lose that connection. Right leg's going to go down again, but this time as the right leg's going up, the left goes down for scissors. Scooping and switching. Scooping and switching. Ribs sliding down. Belly button scooping up and in. Shoulders staying relaxed and away from those ears. We've got 4 more. Switching for 4. Scoop and switch 3. Belly button keeps sinking. 2. Last one. Both legs reach up to the ceiling. Bend them tabletop. Lower one foot carefully all the way down. Other foot all the way down, letting that tailbone release into your neutral. If you have the ball, this is sometimes a nice opportunity to either straighten one leg or even both legs onto the floor. Just gives you a little bit of a stretch through that spine. I think the extension through my back and through the front of my hips feels good. If it's too much and you actually feel pain or ache in your low back, you can always try one leg at a time and then switch. Or you can still just hang here with both knees bent, and sometimes that tailbone just hanging out over the end of the ball. It's not necessarily a bad thing. From there, everyone's going to bend both knees, flat feet. We're going to take your body, slide it forward. You might have to sit up for this, but you're going to try and just roll so that ball ends up a little bit closer to the tips of your shoulder blades, still centered on your spine. From there, arms are relaxed at your sides. Those of you without a ball, you're just hanging out on the mat in neutral, chest nice and open. You're going to take an inhale, nod the chin, exhale, flex forward and up. Feel like your ribs are going to slide down so much they're going to pop the ball. Lifting you up, arms reaching forward, shoulders dropping from the ears. Those of you without a ball, you don't need to roll all the way up to a C-curve position. Just roll up to that ab prep position just through that thoracic spine. And then from there, controlling it right back down, letting the head and chest release. 2 more times. You're going to nod the chin. The ribs go down so much they're going to pop the ball. Ribs keep sliding down. As you flex up, you feel that pelvis scooping back towards you, belly button towards the spine. And then controlling it back down, letting your chest open and extend a bit. One more time coming up to stay, not the chin. Flexing forward. Ribs and abdominals turned on. Abs scooping back towards you, arms to a hover. I do not need or necessarily want you to come entirely off the ball, but I want you to scoop out those abs like crazy so much that you can lift away from it an inch. And resist back into it. Again, you scoop to move. None of this is coming from my shoulders or chest. It's those ribs and abdominals pulling back to pull me forward. Using that breath to support. 2 more. Lift and resist. Those of you without a ball, you're just lifting that inch up and away from the mat. Feeling those tips of the shoulder blades. Trying to lift off of the mat. Last one. Everyone's going to pause. From there, both hands go up and over to your left side, just past that left thigh bone, and then you lift an inch again. You lift and resist. Scoop out those abs. Lift and resist. Ribs and abs pulling back as you go forward. 3 more. 3. Resist. Scoop and lift. 2. Resist and scoop. Last one. Now stay on the lifted side of things as you go up and over past that right thigh bone, and then from there, again, you lift an inch. Resist. Every time you go forward that inch, really feel those wrinkles in the rib cage part of your shirt sliding forward. That belly button sinking to the floor. 2 more. Breathe. 2. One last time. Exhale. You're going to come center. One hand on either side of each thigh. Peel off that ball or roll off the mat and up to sitting nice and tall. Once you're there, ball is going to go between your inner thighs. Arms reaching out in front of you. Just a good old roll down. Deepening those abs. Find that same scoop you were just working with, breathing into those ribs and abdominals, head and arms going back wherever you can keep shoulders and ribs turned on, and then coming right back up. Armpits give a little squeeze. Nodding the chin, you can see those ribcage wrinkles sliding forward, scooping in those abs, rolling it up. Let yourself round over your thigh bones a bit. Arms stay reaching in a hover, ribs and abdominals stay aware, and then rolling up to sitting, middle back to the crown of the head. If you're not perfectly on those sit bones, don't stress, but do stress about keeping those abdominals lifting away from your thigh bones. And we go just one more time so we can roll through that spine. Shoulders dropping, make sure you don't give me turtle head, ears staying in alignment with the shoulders. Glutes and inner thighs have an awareness. Tailbone drops to neutral as those arms go back. Keep those shoulders and ribs connected. I know dropping to the floor feels good. Don't let it happen. Keep your connections. And then last time, coming up. Arms past your visioning, not the chin. Those armpit and ribcage wrinkles sliding down and forward, scooping in those abs. Coming forward, give your knees and shins a little bit of a hug. And then rolling up to sitting. You're going to grab the ball, laying on your stomach. We're going to do a little bit of swan to balance out all of that flexion you just did. Keep in mind, this might not feel good. It might be a little bit too much. If it is, you can always just do normal swan. Arms at your sides in the goalpost position. I'll show it at one point if you need a visual. So coming down into your stomach. Elbows slightly bent on the mat. My hands are on top of the ball, but they're also cupping the sides of it just a little bit. Legs turned out to the corners, maybe shoulder distance or a little wider. Your glutes and inner thighs are turned on, but nothing's gripping. You have a little baby tilt in the pelvis, just enough to feel that ice cube underneath your belly button. And then from there, taking an inhale, you're going to slide your shoulder blades into your back pockets. Start to lift your chest and head up to a hover, elbows peeling to a hover as well. From there, this might be all that you have, and this is a perfectly wonderful height, just going for that upper and middle back. If you're comfortable keeping those shoulders down, you're going to continue to lift, rolling more just towards the fingertips, making sure, I don't care how high you are, but I don't want your shoulders in your ears, keeping that belly button zipping up underneath you, and then when you're ready, rolling it back down, through the spine, shoulders staying stable as you release that head and chest, and we go again. Shoulders slide back and away from the ears. Feeling that pressure of your armpits and heels and the hands pushing down towards the ball. Lifting up into extension that you can support with dropped shoulders, lifted abdominals, and then from there, controlling it down through the spine. If you're not really liking it with the ball, again, normal swan, elbows bent at your sides. Either way, everyone's sliding the shoulder blades back. Lifting that chest and head. Continuing to slide those shoulder blades back as those elbows peel away from the mat. Maybe you go straight elbows, maybe you don't.
The shoulders are down, the abs are lifted. I just talked about all those ribcage wrinkles. Find some middle back wrinkles. And then heeling it down. Breathing, rolling through the front of the spine, just the way you would through your back. Push back into a shell stretch or child's pose. Breathing into those ribs, giving the head, neck, and shoulders a little bit of a shake out. And then rolling up, you're going to take the ball between your inner thighs. So ball goes between your inner thighs, your 4-point kneeling, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, feet in line with your knees. Find that neutral spine, maybe even just a little extension. We're just going to do one cat stretch. Taking an inhale. Exhale as you nod the chin, you scoop out your abs, rounding that spine, letting that head go heavy, pushing into the hands, pushing into those knees and shins so the ribs and abdominals lift, a little bit of a squeeze on that ball. And then from there, head and tailbone are going to get pulled in opposing directions, lengthening and extending through the spine. Shoulders and armpits are back, chest is open. From there, you're going to keep your chest wide open. Feel like your focal point. It's not down, it's not up, it's just a little bit out in front of you. Toes tucked under. You're not going to round, but feel just an extra little lift in your ribs and abdominals. Just that tight pair of jeans feeling. Taking an inhale. Exhale, you're going to keep zipping up that tight pair of jeans so much so that your knees float to a hover. In that hover, keep a stable pelvis and stable shoulders. Squeeze the ball 3 times. 3, 2, 1. From there, you lower your knees down, but you can't just drop them. Resist them down, keeping control in your abdominals and shoulders. We have 3 more sets. You float to your hover, you breathe and squeeze. Resisting it down, lifting back up. Again, breathe. Ribs tightening. Navel to the spine. Resisting it down, your shoulders still out of your ears. Give me 1 more. Abs lift your knees up and you squeeze. 3, 2, on 1. You can come down to transition this. If you want to stay with me, stay strong. Walk your hands forward about 4 to 6 inches. Let your weight shift over your wrists, so now your knees are not underneath their hips. You're a little forward of them. From there, you're going to stay lifted. You're going to come down to elbow and forward. And then the other elbow and forearm. I'm not a stickler about hands together or apart. I'm a stickler about open shoulders though. From there, legs are going to push to straight. You might need to wiggle those feet back a little bit more. Find those glutes and abdominals. Find a stable plank. From there, you're going to squeeze the ball here. 3, 2, 1. Soften knees to tap them towards the floor. Stable pelvis. Push it up to straight. 3 more sets. Bend knees. Glutes and abdominals stretch and you squeeze. 3, 2, 1. Knees go down with those abs. Don't pressing up. Again. 3, 2, 1. Let's just go 1 more time. Knees go down. Glutes and abdominals tight. Chest open. Squeeze. 3, 2, 1. You're going to float the knees down. Shift it back. Ball can come forward, taking a little shell stretch or child's pose. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Walk the ball over to your right. Big side bend stretch. Sitting that left hip just a little lower than you thought you could. And then big half circle up and over with that ball to the other side. As you're reaching to the left, you're trying to drop in that right hip just a bit. Bringing it back center, leave the ball, fingertips to the floor. Don't throw this away. Rolling it up. Low, mid, shoulders open, chin and chest lift. So that's it for our flex ball workout. More to come. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much and happy holidays.